Hi friends, it's Mr. Alex from Adams Memorial Library. 2021 is a new year, and I've resolved to make more origami. I hope that you'll follow along with me, and if you are following along at home, don't forget that you can stop by at the library and pick up your own Online Origami Club kit. In this kit, you'll find all sorts of different types of paper with different colors and patterns that you can use to make the final projects that I'll show you today. This week, we're going to be making an origami polar bear, and I'll show you what we need to get started. So to make our origami polar bear, we're going to need just a few things. We're going to need a practice sheet of paper, and this is going to help us get really, really good at making an origami polar bear before we move on to our final sheet of paper. So we'll also need our final sheet of paper, and mine came out of my Online Origami Club kit. Yours might look a little bit different, and that's okay because there are a bunch of different patterns in the Online Origami Club kits. So everybody's is a little bit different and a little bit unique. We also have a pair of scissors that we're going to use to trim down our practice paper if it's not a perfect square, and mine is not this week, so I'm definitely going to need these. And then finally, I have a marker, crayon, colored pencil, or something else that we can use to decorate our practice origami once it's finished. So gather all that up and let's get started. Okay, so as I mentioned before, the first thing that we're going to need to do is we're going to need to turn our practice sheet of paper into a square. And in order to do this, all I'm going to do is fold our practice paper like this. Make sure it's nice and even. And then I'm going to use my pair of scissors to trim off this extra bit here at the end. Alrighty, once I've done that, I can set my scissors off to the side along with the scrap paper, and I actually don't even have to open my project back up because this fold here, this triangle, is the first step in making an origami polar bear. So I'm going to leave mine like this, but if you started with a piece of paper that's already a square, something like this, then you just want to fold it diagonally so that it makes this triangle. The second step is that we're going to take this corner here and this corner here and fold them down to this bottom corner here. So we're going to take one side, fold it down, give it a nice sharp crease, take the other side, fold it down, and make a nice sharp crease. And we want to make sure those line up pretty well because if they don't, it's going to throw off some of our folds later in the project. But for now, our origami should look like this. Now, the next step is that we are going to take each of our flaps and we're going to fold them back up like this. But we want to fold them up in a way that the fold is going to make this perfect triangle here on the corner. So it's the flap turns into a straight line right down the side of our project, and the part that's showing is this little perfect triangle. And we're going to repeat it on the other side here. And if your fold doesn't make a triangle like this, then you want to redo it because you won't have it at the right angle to make this next step and these next folds here. So we have this, and now the next step is that we're going to take this top point and this bottom point and fold them to this center point here where the two flaps meet in very specific ways. So the top point just gets folded down. The whole piece is going to come right down like this, just like that. For the bottom, we are only going to fold one of the layers. There's going to be two layers here, and we're just going to fold one of them right up to the center point, making something that looks like this. Once our project looks like this, we are actually going to flip our project over. So we'll have a shape like this. Then we're going to take and fold this bottom point up just a little bit so that it's even with the fold that we made on the back. So we'll have something that looks like this. Then we're going to take the tip of this triangle that we just folded and fold it back down to make the nose. And we don't want to fold it the whole way because we want to leave room to draw a mouth on our polar bear as well. So it'll look like this. The final step is that we're going to make the ears. And we're going to do this by opening up these folds here where the ears are. And we're going to fold the points down in like this into our polar bear. And we want to make sure that it has a straight line across the top here. So mine's not exactly straight across, so I want to fiddle with this a bit and manipulate it so that it looks exactly the way that I want it to. And this can take some practice. The first time I did this, it definitely took a while to get the ears exactly right. So I have one ear that looks like this, and I'm going to repeat on this other ear. Just folding the paper down in and giving it a crease so that it looks the way I want it to. Something like this. And at this point, our origami polar bear is finished. But, especially because it's just white paper, it doesn't look a whole lot like a polar bear. So this is where we're going to take our marker and we're going to give our polar bear some features. We can give our polar bear some eyes. Just like that. We can give our polar bear a nose. And go ahead and color that in. It's going to be a lot of shading. And then we can give our polar bear a mouth. And maybe some ears too. And at this point, after a little bit of decorating, our polar bear looks a little bit more like a polar bear. So, once you have this finished, your polar bear is complete, and you can go ahead and either move on to your Online Origami Club piece of paper, your final piece of paper, or if you feel like you maybe need some more practice, especially on those ears, you can get more practice paper and keep making origami polar bears. I'll show you what my final product looks like at the end of this video. Alrighty, and after lots and lots of practice, I took my Online Origami Club paper and made this origami polar bear. I think it turned out pretty well. Now, don't forget that if you have pictures of your own origami, we'd love to see them. So send them on over to kids@adamslib.org. You can also follow us on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and YouTube to get all sorts of updates, not only about the Online Origami Club, but also the other great activities that we're doing here at the library. I hope your origami went well, and as always, happy crafting!